Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I make NBA DFS content, sports, any content you can think of, I make content for. NFL, my Discord, Sportsbook, Prize Picks, NBA content for you guys on YouTube. Um, Anything you can think of, I make content for. And I've been winning DFS player, Sportsbook player for years now. Um, yeah, just having fun with it. So all these videos they get posted to this subreddit. I'll have it linked down below where I give you guys, updates throughout the day with all the news that comes out throughout the day and what that changes for the entire slate. And you can ask me questions leading up to lock about the slate, and I'll always reply to you guys. So yeah, I'll have that link down below. And if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can get a hold of me on X. And then if you're looking for more in-depth content where I give you guys player pools, cores, all that good jazz, I will have that link down below. So let's go over my lineup from tonight. I haven't even looked. I really just don't care. I'm so tilted from Jose Alvarado. Just so tilted. Just what are we doing? This is my main lineup, my favorite lineup. Just what is going on, man? Brandon Ingram 0 fantasy points in the second half. Just Alvarado injured. Well, he wasn't really doing anything to begin with, but just super tilting. Um, yeah, so I'm not cashing today, unfortunately. But guys, I was really high on. Of course, the Rockets guys. That's no secret. Donovan Mitchell, I was really high on. Nicholas Claxton out once we got that Dorian Finney-Smith news. He's having a great game. Jalen Williams, of course, starting at the 5. Those Rockets guys, Brandon Ingram, but 0 fantasy points in the second half. So, going to be a rough one for me. I went light today. Thank God. But hopefully you guys had a good night as well. Yeah, we'll just, I suppose, just this lineup's disaster. Jalen Green bust. Yeah. All right, let's get into it. We got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I believe an 8-game slate. Yeah, 8-game slate for tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of news. It's going to be pretty hectic, but I think this slate looks phenomenal. I think it looks really solid from like a game theory perspective. Playing for some late news. So you got some juicy matchups. I think it's going to be bound for a really fun slate here for tomorrow. So let's lock in. All right. With that being said, Trae Young out. Bogey out, DeAndre Hunter out. Starter should be. They could do a number of things. They could start Dyson at the point and just throw Garrison Matthews into the starting lineup, or they could just start Keaton Mitchell. I think either way, Keaton Mitchell's going to play a ton at 3.2K. He looks great. Really like Keaton Mitchell for value. I think Dyson Daniels, he's going to get a huge bump. Where is he? He's going to get a huge bump. He's going to have to stuff the stat sheet. I like him quite a bit. Jalen Johnson at 8.68, going to have to do absolutely everything for this team. I love him. The only risk here is potential blowout. No Trae Young on the road in Boston. It's just so much blowout risk here. The bigs should kind of split the center position. They're also playing Larry Nance. I have a tough time getting to any of the bigs here. Main interest here is like I really like Jalen, really like Dyson. Love Keaton Wallace. I think Garrison Matthews is solid value. Those are the main guys I'm mainly looking to here. And if like these guys are really popular and you want to play for blowout, I think you absolutely could do that if you wanted to. But yeah, I think my favorite play probably Keaton Wallace. Then probably like Dyson, Jalen. Yeah, those main 4 guys. Garrison Matthews. Also keep an eye on the starting lineup. Like they could always just start Garrison, run Dyson at the point tomorrow. Moving on to Boston, fantastic spot here. So, like, if you're playing some Atlanta tomorrow, maybe you just play some Celtics with them, right? Because if you're playing, like, Jalen Johnson, you're playing for a competitive game, right? So, I think that could be a smart way. You don't have to do that, but I think that, like, you can make some game stacks and, like, large field GPPs. I think it can be a little bit intriguing. But with that being said, Jason Tatum is questionable. If he's out, we'll see what they do with the starting lineup. They could do a number of things. They could start Sam Hauser. They could start Tillman. We also have Al Horford questionable. One of the bigs will start as well. They could do a number of things. There's like 3 or 4 different combinations they can do with the lineup. I'll just make updates when we do get this news. But if Jason Tatum's out, it's a massive bump to Jaylen Brown. I would love Jaylen Brown. He played 37 minutes in his first game back, so no limit. He would look phenomenal. Derek White, Drew Holiday both get a massive bump with Tatum off the court. Would like them quite a bit. Sam Hauser would have to play a ton of minutes. He'd be firmly in play for value, and then just keep an eye on like starting lineups. Regardless if Sam Hauser comes off the bench or starts, would still like him. And then Peyton Pritchard. we know what they say. Whenever they're going up against bad teams, they're going to let Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser cook. So firmly in play at 5.1K. Would prefer Drew Holiday, though, if you're playing for a close game at 5.3K. And yeah, like Sam Hauser, and then keep an eye on Horford, whoever starts, one of the bigs, etc. They could always start like a Tillman too. It's just pretty disgusting. But like, yeah, you're definitely gonna need some interest in Boston tomorrow if Jason Tatum and Al Horford are out. I'll make updates when we do get that news. And what they do with the starting lineup, because there's a couple combinations they could do here. If Tatum's in, I like Tatum as a spend up. I like Jaylen Brown too. Great spot for both of them. I think Derek White will probably be where he should be priced. But Drew Holiday would still have some. Would like Drew still at 5.3. It does seem a little bit too cheap. I wouldn't really get to the value here though. If everyone's in. Moving on to Miami, Jimmy Butler is out. They went with starters of Bam Adebayo, Tyler Herro, Terry Rozier, Haywood Highsmith, and Kevin Love. Kevin Love only played 2 shifts, so it's going to be tough to get there. They might not even start him tomorrow. They could always do a number of things, but like he's only going to play 2 shifts at 4K. Tough to go there. Jovic at 4K played decent bit at 23 minutes. Tough time going there. Haywood Highsmith started, but not going to be good point per minute. But you give him 33 minutes, playable value, just not really a great point per minute guy. Jamie came off the bench. They could always flip that and always start like a Jamie. But it's mainly my interest here is Tyler Herro, Bam Adebayo. Just so much usage with Jimmy Butler off the court. These two guys are going to have to do everything for the team. Tyler Herro is going to have the ball in his hands a lot more as well. So potential should go up. I kind of want to see where his potentials ended last game because I took his assist. But main interest, like Bam Adebayo, like Tyler Herro. Not too in love with anything else here. All right, moving on to Detroit. Jalen Duren could be back here. If he is back, that's going to take the bigs out of play personally for me. If there's no limit on Duren, would have interest there. Great rebounding spot here for Duren. If he plays Stewart, if Duren's out, I like quite a bit. She'll play around 30 minutes. Good point per minute guy. Fine spot. From popular belief that Miami's really tough defensively, especially against bigs. They are not. I think it's a perfectly fine spot for Stewart. Would like Stewart quite a bit. I think him and Goga would be really good plays. Goga we'll get to in a minute. And then Cage's just been a monster this year at 8.9K. I think he's a really good play. Just stuffing the stats, doing almost another just playing huge minutes. No issue with Cade Cunningham. Then like Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey. They're just like last piece filler and type plays for me. Moving on to Charlotte. Miles out, Mark out, Nick Richards out. So they're just doing terrorism things with this rotation and lineups. They started LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller. God, I'm even forgetting. LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Saloon, Taj Gibson, Josh Green, right? I have rotations up anyway. I believe that was the stars. It's hard to remember 8 games. I believe that was the starters though. Yeah, those were the stars. So Saloon only 19 minutes. We know Taj is only gonna get his like 2 shifts, and they're mainly gonna play like Grant Williams, Cody Martin off the bench, and that's mainly it. And they can switch that depending on matchups, etc. But I think you'll still see a decent bit of those bench guys. I don't really love any of the value. I think we're gonna have so much better value opening up later, and value that we already have with like guys like Keaton, Garrison, etc. I think my favorite would be Grant Williams at 4.9K, but not much. You have Goga at a similar price point. You have Isaiah Stewart, right? Main interest here is just kind of like Brandon Miller or LaMelo Ball. I think both two guys look solid here once again. Would prefer Brandon Miller to LaMelo Ball point per dollar at 6.68. There's just more usage going around with Miles out. I think Brandon Miller's still a little bit too cheap here. This game went to overtime, but she'll play around low to mid 30s minutes, and then LaMelo high 30s as well. But his potentials have been down of late. A little bit concerning, but I still think they're good point per dollar plays. And then, yeah, we'll have better value opening up later. Wonder Card Jr. is still going to be out. I think Goga's just still too cheap. He's been phenomenal. As long as the game stays close, she'll play around 30 minutes. Good point per minute. Double upside. I really good play at 5.3. Franz, I absolutely love in a great spot at 8.4K. Really like Franz. I think Suggs is fine. I think when they're this close in price point, I'd rather just get up to like a Franz. Tristan DeSilva's been starting. Really bad point per minute. But if you're playing for like a blowout, he will get that blowout run, and that's when he really has those good games, is when he starts crushing in the blowout. KCP couldn't pay me to play. That's mainly it. I think I'm really just interested in like Franz, Jalen Suggs, Goga. Those top 3 guys there. Moving on to the Knicks, going up against the Sixers. Keep an eye on Miles McBride campaign news. If they're both out, Jalen Brunson you might see play 42 minutes tomorrow, and then Tyler Kolak playing a little bit of backup point. So if those two are out, that's actually a pretty big bump to Jalen Brunson. Once again, Cat, it's actually a good spot here for Cat. He can draw at Embiid, go to the 3-point line. It's actually a fine spot. The only risk here is like Cat's super foul prone, and now you're going up against Joel Embiid. So like, yeah, a ton of foul risk for Karl-Anthony Towns tomorrow. But if he stays out of foul trouble, I think this spot's pretty damn good. So I like Cat quite a bit tomorrow. I think Brunson's too cheap. I think the main guys are just fine. I'm not going to play Mikal. I think even though he gets ownership every slate, I always just fade. Josh Hart playing massive minutes. Just solely in play due to the minutes he's going to play. OG getting to the price point to where he should be. And then, yeah, if like Campaign's out, sure, Miles McBride, she'll play around 30 minutes, perfectly fine value. If Campaign's in, I'm probably not going to go there. And then, yeah, if they're both out, Jalen Brunson does get a pretty big bump there minutes-wise. Moving on to the Sixers, Joel Embiid going to be back. He's going to be on a limit, I would assume. So tough to get to anyone here. I think, Paul George is limiting his minutes. I would expect around 30. Kelly Oubre overpriced. Andre Drummond now out of play. Caleb Martin now out of play. There's just nothing I can get to here for the Sixers. Moving on to Toronto. Could have Quickly back. We know what to do, right? If Quickly's out, RJ Barrett looks great. Jakob Poeltl's fine. Everyone else I wouldn't love too much outside of like Davion Mitchell at that price point. Am I trolling here? I thought I said never mind in the first game. Davion Mitchell, if Quickly's out, I would like just he has the ball in his hands just an absolute ton with Quickly out. He was averaging like 18 potential assists with Quickly off the court. He's playing massive minutes too, so I wouldn't mind Davion there. But if Quickly's in, not loving too much. If we get news that they're going to ramp up like Quickly's minutes to like low 30s, then I'll really like him in a great spot going up against the Bucks. But keep an eye on that. If they say they're going to ramp up his minutes like low 30s, I would really like Quickly. RJ Barrett would still be in play, same with like Jakob Poeltl. Not amazing plays, but still be play. And then I wouldn't get to the value here. And yeah, if he's out like RJ, Poeltl's fine. Grady Dick's priced right. Davion would be solid. I'm not going to pay $6K for Ochai Agbaji. I'll let him continue to nuke and just be absolutely shocked by it. Damian Lillard is out. Chris Middleton is out. Gary Trent Jr. is probable. They've been going with starters. They've been starting Andre Jackson. So they've been going with the Giannis, Brook Lopez, Prince, Andre Jackson, Damian Lillard. Now no Damian Lillard. They could just start Giannis at the point here and move someone else in the starting lineup. Or they could start AJ Green. In the past, they've gone just Giannis at the point. They could do a number of things here. I think regardless, AJ Green's been a pretty big part of this rotation the last week or so. I think he's going to get a significant bump whether he comes off. Kind of similar situation to like Keaton Mitchell. Really like AJ Green with no Damian Lillard. And then Giannis looks phenomenal. I absolutely love Giannis tomorrow. He's the best spend up on the board. Love him. Bobby Portis is going to get a bump as well at 6'6". Brook Lopez doesn't really get too big of a bump, would still be in play. And then, just keep it on the start. They could start Giannis at the point, and then they could move someone else in. Not too in love with Prince, but he's fine for value. And then Andre Jackson, I don't love it. Mainly just where is he? Green. Giannis, see what they do with the starting lineup. They could do a number of things here. Giannis at the point or move someone else in. We could have more value open up. So it's kind of tough to say right now with the Bucks. Then we get to Phoenix, another team I love tomorrow. No Kevin Durant, possibly no Nurk. If Nurk is out, Mason Plumlee is going to be a great value. And then with no Kevin Durant, I think Booker looks like one of the best plays on the board. Bradley Beal looks phenomenal even at that price point. Tyus Jones is going to play massive minutes. He's a good point per dollar play. Royce O'Neal came off the bench but still played around 30 minutes, a fair value. And then Dunn started, don't love it, well, better value opening up later. And then if you want to take darts on like a Grayson Allen, you could. Moving on to Utah here. Keontae George is questionable. If we get Keontae out, you should get Isaiah Collier, the Summer League legend, starting. He started last game. Statute stuffer, I would really like him for value. Markkanen, great spot for him. I really like Markkanen at 7.4. This price point just seems too cheap. So, like Markkanen either way, if Keontae plays or not, I don't love much else here. I guess if Keontae's out, you could go to Clarkson or Sexton, but they're still kind of splitting the guard minutes. I think my favorite two plays would be Collier if Keontae's out, and then Lauri Markkanen. All right, last two games here, guys. Dallas at Golden State. So it kind of sucks because we have Maxi Kleber back. So Dallas could go small here. I'm not saying they will. It's kind of going to depend on what the Warriors do as well. But Luka always one of the best spend ups on the board. I think I prefer Giannis, but Luka firmly in play. Same with Kyrie Irving. PJ Lively doubtful, so you should get Daniel Gafford playing a bulk of the center minutes. Only worry is Warriors small ball. That's my only concern. They could go to like a Kleba, but Gafford, good point per dollar play. I think I'd have him Goga a bit better than Gafford on this slate. What else do we have here? Najee Marshall's playable at 4-6. I think that's mainly it. So let's move on. Golden State. Wiggins is questionable. Keep an eye on what they do with the starting lineup, but I would expect him in. So starters last game, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, DeAnthony Melton, Trace Jackson Davis. Steve Kerr said he wanted that starting lineup to continue to be the starting lineup. So if we're going to get around 30 minutes from DeAnthony Melton, he's another really good value on the slate. The only issue is Steve Kerr has notoriously lied and gone with the hot hand. So if he's really popular, you could make the argument to fade just because they could go with the hot hand. We could get like Moody starting if Wiggins is out. But once again, a hot hand situation here with like Buddy Hield, DeAnthony Melton, Brandon Podziemski, etc. And then I don't love the main guys here. I think Steph's fine. Moving on to Minnesota, yeah, I think Ant's good. I think I'd rather play Devin Booker at a similar price point, but yeah, Ant, no issue with him. I think Joyce Randle, just like a filler play for me. Like Rudy Gobert at that price point, I think better value, but like Dante, Mike Conley, Naz Reid, all playable. Portland, I'll pass. I'll just pass. Shaedon Sharpe started last game, but they got absolutely torched. If I were to play anyone, maybe like a Shaedon Sharpe if they increase the minutes, but that's mainly it. Hopefully you guys had a great night tonight, and I will always talk to y'all in the next video.